The economic forecast calls for light to moderate growth, but we're also worried about a risk of recession. How are you going to guide your company to advance if we do get that growth, but also be protected against the downside of a recession? I'm Dr. Bill Connerly. I connect the dots between the economy and business, and in this second video in the series, we're going to talk about how to integrate the flexible stance that we discussed last time, that flexible stance with the key strategic initiatives that may very well have come out of your annual strategy process. So many companies have a workshop, an offsite, hopefully in some nice resort in a warm place, and you invite me. But even if you didn't invite me, you could have gotten either of two or both of two kinds of results. One kind of result is the numbers, a forecast for sales growth next year, expense growth, profit growth. But the other kind of output, which we're going to talk about today, the other kind of output is key strategic initiatives. If you have set up some key strategic initiatives that you want to pursue this year, how do you integrate them into this economic situation where we may go forward, but we may have a recession? Let's go through a specific example. Here's an example that's been disguised a little bit so you won't know which company I'm really talking about. They identified three major initiatives at their fall strategic planning offsite. First was to improve service after the sale, so there'd be fewer returns and better customer satisfaction. Secondly, install a new customer relationship management system, and one of the things they wanted to do was shorten the timeline between when a customer starts thinking about an order and management hears about it. And the third initiative was to expand to a new territory in the Southeast. This would involve a new warehouse, some trucks, equipment, and hiring a new sales staff. So how do you take a set of strategic initiatives and put them through this recession filter, saying, gee, what do we do if we want to be flexible, have that flexible stance for a recession coming? Well, watch this. I'm going to add a column for cost. And we don't need to be super precise here, I just need a rough ballpark idea. For the improving service, they thought there'd be only a small expense and some cost saving, so basically they think that's a wash. The new customer relationship management system is going to have a cost. It's not huge compared to everything, but definitely there's a dollar figure attached to that. The expansion into new territory, that's going to have a big cost. Purchasing a building and doing some installation of equipment there, hiring people. So this is the big cost item. Now, where do we go from here? We've evaluated in rough terms the cost associated with each of these strategic initiatives. Now let's think about, is this something you would want to have if we do go into a recession? The improved service, definitely, because in a recession, customers are going to be thinking, looking for any excuse to cut down on the number of vendors. So this is certainly a high value item in a recession. The new customer relationship management system, they were thinking of shortening the information lag between the customers thinking about an order or canceling and management knows about it. This is really important as you go into difficult times, so I'm going to give that 2 stars. But now let's talk about expansion. If we go into a recession, the existing competitors in the new territory are going to be fighting to preserve their market share. There may be discounting, and you don't want to enter a new market with price concessions and get a reputation for being somebody who discounts. So this is something that you don't want to do if there's a recession. So how do you actually go about making this decision? First of all, you go ahead and do the service improvement processes. Secondly, the CRM. The only issue I'd have with setting up the new CRM is you want to run the cost of that through a financial projection, have your bean counters do a cash flow projection with recession assumptions, and just double check that you do have enough money here. But the big question is, what are we going to do with the expansion? And there is a way to do a big expensive project with an eye to contingencies for a possible recession. But that's going to take another set of steps. Hold on a second. I've laid out the steps this company thinks it's going to have to take to expand into the new territory. Buy a warehouse, remodel it, install equipment, buy trucks, and hire salespeople. Now, to maintain that flexible stance with a possible recession, I would suggest some slight alteration here, and the theme is let's delay pulling the trigger as long as we can while still keeping the entire project on schedule. So buy the warehouse. How about we get an option to buy the warehouse? That will cost us a little bit if we end up pulling the plug on the project, but it gives us a lot of flexibility. Remodel, let's begin with the planning process. The architectural and engineering plans are fairly cheap, but we can delay the actual remodel a little bit. Install equipment, let's order them, especially if we can, perhaps with a penalty, cancel the order if we have to cancel the project. Buy trucks, always wait on that unless they're super specialized trucks, because you can always find a truck. It may not be exactly what you'd buy, but this is the kind of thing where the decision can be delayed. Hire salespeople. If this project is going to be successful, you're going to need a successful, proven sales staff, but let's wait as long as we can. Let's do some interviews, identify good candidates, but wait to pull the trigger until we have a better sense of whether we're actually going into a recession. So one of the things we're going to have to do in the future is talk about checkpoints to make the decision of do we go forward or not. That's the subject for another video. Thanks for watching this one. I'm Dr. Bill Connerly for the Bizonomics blog and Forbes.com.